That's a rocket.
Konnichiwa, watashi no namae wa Trevor desu. Today I'm going to be talking about My Neighbor Totoro. I wish he was my neighbor. Tonari no Totoro, or My Neighbor Totoro in English, is a Japanese feature-length animated film written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. It was produced by his company Studio Ghibli. The film released in 1988 and has since become an iconic movie around the world. Miyazaki wanted to create a story that was the essence of childhood wonderment. According to Miyazaki, the film is set at a time when televisions were yet to be brought into homes, somewhere around 1958-ish. In the film, Satsuki and her little sister Mei, along with their archaeology professor father, move out to the country to be closer to their mother, who's recovering in a hospital. It's implied in the film, and later revealed in a novelization that was illustrated by Miyazaki himself, that their mother suffers from tuberculosis, much like Miyazaki's own mother did in real life. In the original poster for My Neighbor Totoro, Tonari no Totoro, you'll notice there's one girl, and she doesn't look anything like Satsuki or Mei, really. Well, that's because the original concept for the movie, there was only one girl. And it wasn't until later that it was made into two girls, who were sisters. Satsuki, Mei, and Pops all arrive at their new home, located in a Satoyama, which is the border zone between mountain foothills and arable farmland. Arable means you can farm it. They find that their house is occupied by little ghost bunny dusty thingies. Satsuki and Mei call these little dust bunny squirrel-like tendency things Makuro Kurosuke, which literally means pitch black blackies, and is not a racist term. They're a type of Japanese spirit called yokai, created for the film by Miyazaki himself. Oba-chan, the old woman who watches the house, calls them Susu Watari, which means wandering soot. They're like burnt popcorn with eyes that fell in hair, but they're cute. The story structure mimics a child's perception of the passage of time. It's very organic and flowing. There's kind of no beginning, middle, or end, but there kind of is. Like, there's a plot structure, but it's much more loose and free, like how children play, how children see the world, and Miyazaki did that intentionally. Everything about the story thrives with imagination and wonder as seen through the eyes of these two main characters, the two sisters, Satsuki and Mei. One day when Satsuki is at school, her younger sister Mei, who is based on Miyazaki's niece, finds herself at the base of a giant camphor tree. There, she stumbles into the home of a big, fuzzy, gray spirit who should be my friend. Best friend, really. We could share secrets, bake cookies, take naps. If MySpace was still a thing, he'd be my top 8. We'll explain MySpace later. She names him Totoro, a mispronunciation of the Japanese word for troll, Tororu. See, Mei thinks that Totoro looks like the troll on the cover of her book, The Billy Goat's Gruff, which we see her mother read to her in the post-credit scene. Later in the story, Satsuki meets Totoro at a bus stop in the rain, where she and Mei are waiting for their father with his forgotten umbrella. This is also where Satsuki and Mei meet the Neko Basu, the cat bus, Totoro's totally pimped out ride. It's the 80s, so he listened to some awesome cassettes. We'll explain cassettes later. In Japanese folklore, there's a yokai or spirit called a bake neko, or monster cat, that has great shape-shifting abilities. If bake neko are Transformers, the cat bus is Optimus Prime. Which is ironic, because in the Disney English language dub of the film My Neighbor Totoro, the voice of the cat bus was provided by Frank Welker, the voice of Megatron. At the end of the film, Totoro and the cat bus even help Satsuki find a lost Mei, who has run off to visit her mom in the hospital. My Neighbor Totoro was originally released as part of a dual billing with another Studio Ghibli film, Grave of the Fireflies. It was thought at the time that My Neighbor Totoro would not be successful and was kind of a too out there idea. My Neighbor Totoro became one of the most successful animated films of all time. Totoro himself is even the symbol for Studio Ghibli. Totoro is as recognizable and loved in Japan as Mickey Mouse is in America, or Grumpy Cat on the internet. Totoro has even been used as a mascot by the Japanese Totoro Hometown Fund campaign, which is dedicated to preserving areas of Satoyama around Japan. Under the name My Friend Totoro, the film was first released in the United States in 1993 by Troma Entertainment and Fox Studios. Troma, the family-friendly company that brought you The Killer Condom and Teenage Cat Girls in Heat. My Neighbor Totoro was redubbed and re-released in the US by Disney in 2006. Japanese company Studio Ghibli and American company Walt Disney Pictures still have a great working relationship together. Many Studio Ghibli films are distributed worldwide under the Disney banner. These are my 5 moments! My Neighbor Totoro gave me the feels. Number 1! On one of the family's first nights in the house, Satsuki, Mei, and their father are taking their bath. And the wind is howling outside, and the house is shaking, and it's already haunted by soot spirits, so they're very afraid. And the father tells them, try laughing. then whatever scares you will go away. And then he starts laughing, this big, huge laugh, and then they all start laughing, and they're splashing and fun, and I was holding the tears in because it was awesome. 2! One day when Satsuki's at school, Mei is in the yard playing. She's carrying around her lunchbox with her, wearing a little straw hat. And she's playing, and her dad's working at his desk, and all of a sudden we see that there's all these flowers lined up on his desk. And then we see this other little flower kind of come up there. Boop. And we see her little hand attached to it. And he looks down at her, and she looks at him and goes, "You be the flower shop, okay?" And that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen in my life. 3. When Mei meets Totoro for the very first time, and she tickles his face and he sneezes a bunch, and then she falls asleep on top of him. And they're both asleep in this like little nook in this tree. It's like the reverse of a cat sleeping on a person. It's adorable. One day when Satsuki's at school, Oba-chan, who was supposed to be watching Mei, shows up outside of school. Satsuki leaves her class, goes running out there to see what's wrong, and sees Mei just in tears. Oba-chan tells Satsuki that Mei was so upset she had to bring her here. And Mei, without saying a word, tears streaming down her face, runs up and gives her big sister the tightest hug you've ever seen. 5. When Mei has disappeared and the entire village is looking for her, Satsuki has one last hope. She goes to the giant camphor tree, begs for Totoro's help to find Mei, and Totoro just looks at her, smiles a huge grin, grabs her, and literally shoots up into the sky. He saves the day. I mean, it's a superhero moment with a giant teddy bear. It's amazing. Not like Super Ted. We'll explain that later. My Neighbor Totoro is such an influential film that sometimes really cool people like to get it tattooed on their body. If there's anything you guys want explained, leave it in the comments. Okudasai.